All right. Hey, welcome everybody. I'm Matt Duda, and good to have you here for the next half an hour. Before we get going, we're going to talk today actually about webinars. Webinar on webinars. It's like a meeting about meetings. Anyway, I hope it'll be informative, and we'll have a bit of fun along the way. Before we kick off, I want to run a quick poll and just get some feedback from you all around what you're doing, what experiences you've had, and the role of online engagement for you in your day-to-day work. So I have launched that now. If you could attend to that and just multitask while I'm doing a bit of an intro. Actually, can everyone see that? Can you just give me a quick thumbs up on chat if you can see that poll? Ray, I know you're out there. Can you see it? Great. Thank you, sir. Okay, excellent. Okay, good. If you can just fill that out while I am talking now. What have you signed up for? Well, for the next 4 weeks, Tuesdays from 1 to 1:30, we'll spend 30 minutes on giving you some insights that I've seen in recent activity around market developments. So how the market's changing and morphing as we steamroll into level one. I want to give you some feedback on what I'm seeing is working, what's delivering results in the market. Want to table some ideas and concepts to increase the effectiveness of specification. That's a sweet spot and something we're all interested in understanding how we can be more effective. And also get some feedback from you. What are the things you're struggling with? What are areas of opportunity that we can discuss in a wider forum? Great. I am just going to leave that poll up for a little bit longer. Okay, come back to it in a few minutes. Now, the purpose of actually having these weekly meetings is I believe that there is an opportunity with what we've been through in increasing the effectiveness on how we influence specification. Mainly, I want to think about how we can develop the right balance of face-to-face and digital engagement. So lots of talk in the industry around how it's changed, so the level of work around the way that our customers, specifiers, are approaching work and where they're working from and what level of support they need. So as an industry, I think there's an opportunity for us to improve the way that we support specification and in that process influence it. And make sure that we have got the right balance of digital engagement as well as increasing our ability to deliver better results in face-to-face activities. Okay. All right. Let's have a look at our poll. Okay. So you should all see that on your screen now. So we've got, first question was, do we see webinars and online meetings as a way of improving the way we work with architects? So we've got 60% who are saying yes. Okay, so looking for ways in which we can develop our skills in doing that. But 40% of you are not sure. So what these are questions you'll be asking within your team. How do we actually develop the right level of experience online if we want to actually start engaging in that medium? How many webinar presentations do we intend to conduct over the next couple of months? So, as an industry, we're actually looking at somewhere between once a fortnight or once a week. Now, if we think about the fact that there's hundreds of suppliers, we should expect webinar space to actually get pretty busy. So we need to be thinking about what's going to make our content stand out. How are we going to ensure that we get an audience, for us to be able to build a relationship with, present information and ideas to. So I'm interested in this question. Compared to what we're doing, pre-March, are we planning to spend more or less time in the office or at home in our work in supporting architects and specifiers? So looks like we're either spending a little or a lot more, or around the same amount of time, either in our office or working remotely. So you're sensing, majority are sensing that the way that you engage with this audience is going to change. So we've got to increase our skills and our reach digitally to be able to network and influence. So I'm keen to measure this over time and get that sort of sentiment feedback. And finally, just how many webinars we presented to date. So majority of us, it's still really new. So this is something we didn't really think about, focusing on, committing to pre-COVID. So it makes sense that it's new, and the fact that you guys are here is the fact you're wanting to learn and understand what's working and what isn't. Okay, now throughout the next 23 minutes, happy to take questions. We can either use the Q&A function or chat function. I've got Nancy in the background who is helping me out. So if you've got any comments around those poll results, flick it through, and happy to discuss that as we go along. Right. So today's session and next session, we're actually going to go over some of the things that I've learnt in delivering webinars over the last few months. Today I'm going to talk about my impression of what we've been delivering as an industry, and talk about some ideas and concepts and approach. Next week, I want to talk about mistakes to avoid. So today I want to set the scene, get us thinking about webinars, so you can walk away and think, great, what should we be doing as a business? And personally, what's the area of focus for me? Next week, I want to talk more about tactics. So what are the things we need to ensure we're doing well or avoiding in terms of delivering effectively? Okay. What I've seen is that we, as an industry, are taking what we've been delivering in practice face-to-face and trying to deliver that online. So I just want to come back to the purpose of our in-practice presentations. First thing is we want to be seen. We want to actually get into the practice, press the flesh, but also, ensure that we are visible to the practice, both in terms of our personal brand and our company. Obviously, we want to develop our network. So we want to grow the number of people that we are engaging with and who know and respect us. We want opportunities to actually deliver something in person that people can touch and feel. 3 times more likely to remember something if you've actually had a physical experience with it. Talking professionally here. So, obviously digitally, tactile experience is very, very, very difficult to achieve. But something that we've relied on when we're doing it face-to-face. We want to get feedback. We want to see people's body language, just to figure out what's their level of personal interest, and get an idea of their intent to use something like what we're presenting in the future. We're always bringing out new products. Every year this is happening, so we're constantly wanting to get feedback on our value proposition. We want to make sure that our existing products still cut the mustard, and that anything that we're bringing to market that's new, we are testing to see whether the demand is there and what level of interest there is, what cut through we think we can achieve into a very busy product space. We want to stimulate discussion. So we want to ensure that we're there presenting, but we're actually trying to figure out what type of work they've got coming up, where they've had difficulties, and identify what problems can we address in our role of supporting specification. And If we're lucky, we can get into these practices every 6 months, maybe annually. So there's a purpose of actually keeping people up to date with what we're doing and what is new. I've seen this overwhelming urge to just take face-to-face in-practice presentations and put them online. And we've done 18 webinars. So these are product supplier presentations over the last 3.5 weeks. And my impression has been really underwhelming. So I think as an industry, we can do so much better. And I just want to talk about, the differences between offline and online. And when we're starting to think about online, we can't bribe people with great catering. Catering can be a really important tool, not only in bringing people in, but in keeping them there. When we're online, it's difficult to see the level of interest or disinterest, particularly in a webinar format where I can't actually see how you're reacting, whether you're even there, whether you are multitasking at the moment, or whether I've got your full undivided attention. It's difficult for me to get that feedback. Easier when we're in meetings, webinars not so much. And there's no physical experience. So I've got to be a lot more animated and I've got to have really strong stimulation in terms of visuals and audio to actually keep that engagement. And what I'm sensing is that we don't quite know, haven't made that decision to clearly differentiate between a face-to-face delivery and online, which is what I'd like to discuss now. When we're thinking about webinars, don't repeat what already exists online. There is this real urge to just strongly get our brand positioning and information across and cover as much product information as possible. Let's actually give these people some cred and think, you know what, if that level of information, if we've got their attention, they can find that content online. We'll give them links, we'll prompt them, might even send them something afterwards that gives them that intel. What we really want to do is we want to focus on our ability to be able to support them as designers and our technical understanding to help them deliver projects that meet their clients' needs and compliance standards. I'm seeing product-focused presentations as the norm. And the result of that is seeing lower engagement, because we're not actually stimulating design ideas. We're just pushing features and benefits unrelated out to the specification audience. We're not actually, we're not stimulating people. We're not suggesting things that could be done differently. We're not reminding them of why they were, they chose to be architects, which is to come up with great designs to achieve flexibility, greater performance with the designs that they're bringing to their clients. And that's where I think we have got a great opportunity as an industry to be able to up the level of design by encouraging this design fraternity to, enable greater design through our support. What I have seen work really well is when that design support is actually demonstrated. So where we have got case studies where we are looking at frequent issues around design, could be installation as well, areas where we have been able to support specifiers, not making sure that they are up to date with our latest product range or our developments, where that might be a compliance pathway like a brands report, or CAD details, or the fact that we have now got a wider range of products. got to be able to provide a stronger context to be able to support them. Now, before I continue on, I'm actually going to pause. I want to get some feedback from you. So I'm just having a look at our chat line and our Q&A. That content that I've just gone through, before I go any further, questions or comments. You'll see you'll actually have the option there of being able to send a note to all or just to panelists, of which Nancy and I are the two. So I'm interested in getting some feedback before I go any deeper. One thing that is underestimated in giving webinars is a pregnant pause. So I'll use it to great effect here. No, you cannot call me on the phone. Okay, thanks team. All right, okay, everyone's violently agreeing with me. Okay, I will continue then. Let's see how we go. And yeah, okay, Matt, good point. If we are positioned as a technical salesperson, you know, it is our sweet spot to be able to talk about technical product points. And in some cases, you know, we actually get quite nervous about talking about design objectives. And it sometimes depends on our product offering, how close we actually are, you know, to the design process. But we've got to be able to find a way, an angle, to be able to get in there and demonstrate how we are involved. Because the market gets tighter, we will need to get more focus because there's going to be less pie to share. And we want to be the people who can create a differentiation around our service offering so that we can get as tight a specification as possible to hold through, you know, the project process. So we've got to find out a way in which we can get feedback from the design fraternity around where we have actually helped and support them. So yeah, I do appreciate that. Andrew's got a good question around the role of, how did that happen? The role of video. My advice, stay away from video. It's been really clunky in our experience to date, and it's actually been more of a hindrance than a help. I'd far rather you put in a link to the video on the chat line so that they can actually watch it and they can stream it directly themselves rather than go through the Zoom or Teams or Google Hangout server. It's just been really awkward, and the content that we've seen has always been more general than the specific topic of a webinar. So yeah, use video at your peril would be my advice. Okay. So my observations. We have been thinking about 60-minute presentations. NZIA allowed 10 CPD points for it if we get our presentations certified. 60 minutes too long online. We just cannot hold people's attention that long. So if we can respect people's time, short and sharp, 15 minutes is a great time to be able to hold people's attention. You know, from an EBOSS point of view, we are going to continue with running webinars. We're going to do one per week instead of 3 sessions, and we will do multiple presentations, so 3 in an hour. 15 minutes, short and sharp, we found to be the most effective. I'll just check on the Q&A. Hey, Nancy, this is great. I'm running a webinar on how to run webinars, and I can't see the Q&A. Nancy, do you mind dropping the Q&A questions into the chat line so I can see them? Thank you. great point here is that if you have an audience, it's really useful to have someone in the background who can actually help you out. Second thing is run polls, just like I did earlier. Let's make sure we get engagement and start to get people using chat and Q&A. You'll find that you'll get a roll on, but it's hard to get that initial momentum. So depending on your own personal brand, you can go as wide as you want in terms of the content for that, but just get people invested early, particularly if it's a short presentation. You don't want to go through everything and get to the end, which most people do, draw a breath and go, oh, are there any questions? It's awkward for everyone, so let's try and avoid that. Ray, I need to deliver a structured presentation that's driven by the fact that Enzo require an approved presentation in order for architects to get their points. Right, great point. So I'm not saying we shouldn't use CPD as an opportunity to be able to gain an audience, and we're limited with 30-minute or 60-minute variations. It's just really hard to hold people's attention for that long online. That face-to-face, I think, is a different story. But I wouldn't be surprised if there are options around 15 and there certainly are 30-minute time slots for CPD points. Remember, architects and LBP and other professionals can still get their points, but typically they're half of an approved presentation. But I think even the approved presentations that I've seen doesn't mean that they're going to be put in a different level in terms of non-approved. Some of them I've seen have been too long and have had content that I thought could have been delivered much stronger way. So Ray, agree with the driver of CPD. We should think about that, but timing is really important because we want to get people engaged, and I'll talk about objectives shortly. Shane, what do you mean video? So video is when we'll actually embed a video clip into a presentation, if that makes sense. And Victoria, yes, agree. I think we do need to think about reviewing CPD point allocation to reflect timing online. Okay, one thing I also want to encourage is that we, as part of our introduction, we make sure there's some personal insights. So one of the things I've done, I've been presenting out of my wife's workshop for the last 2 months. I'm about to get kicked out, so last few days. But the ability to be able to have some sort of shared experience or insight, I think, is really important. We've all dabbled with the digital backdrops, and I think more time than not, they're a bit of a distraction, and they're sort of just an overkill. They're just a really strong stimulus, which can be a bit of a distraction. And it's not so bad when we are actually in presentation mode, but when you're on full screen, it really can be in your face. So I like the thought of taking a few seconds to be able to talk about a hobby or an insight that you think would be of interest to a specifier audience. We did a 60-minute presentation 3 weeks ago. Took 8 minutes for the presenter to get into the presentation. By the time done the intro of the presenters, the brand and the product range, 8 minutes. Got to hook them early. Got to get that design focus rather than a product focus established. And recall of stories is 22 times higher than facts. So our ability to be able to reference examples of where we've worked on a project will help the specifier retain the key knowledge. Many presentations should have 2 or 3 main points they walk away with. So our ability to be able to deliver stories or encapsulate our messages into a case study, a project, something that has a plot, It's really important. And don't think of webinars as a one-off. Think about a series, so really specific focus, and let's talk about the fact that, hey, I'm just here for 15 minutes today, or in this case it's half an hour, to cover this off. But in future, these are the topics that that I'll be addressing. Hope you will find of interest. Okay, I've got 5 minutes left. So in terms of some ideas, when you're thinking about your webinars in future, think about some interesting case studies. Conjure up, try and identify some interesting case studies that not only reference the use of your product, but your ability to support great design. So whether you're peer reviewing, whether you're producing a specific compliance pathway, or whether you're actually detailing or providing design support. Think about what the objective was for that design. What the issue was, provide some context, parameters, and demonstrate your level of support. Why not cover off in another presentation 5 frequently asked technical questions? So regularly we are seeing this type of information is required by architects. So I just wanted to cover that off in a quick seminar. You can record that. There's often there might be some detailing that you're referencing, but people feel more common or comfortable sharing that than their own specific details. If it's got any project references, you'll need to make sure you cover that off with the architect. But just trying to again identify the fact you're regularly supporting designers and you're approachable, help work with them. If we know that there is going to be an increased number of school work in the healthcare industry, 2 sectors that we're targeting in terms of lifted amount of activity, why not think about providing a specific solution for that application? Aged care unit, social housing, townhouses, or 3-story walk-ups. Let's position that and create some ideas around how we can achieve a thinner mid-floor section, a higher performance fire rating on an intertenancy, more durable surfaces, greater design flexibility, decreased installation time. What are some of the key drivers we believe will be key differentiators in particular applications? Finally, when we're thinking about delivering webinars, what do we want to measure? So again, over the last month, the minimum number we've had is 15 practices attend a webinar. We've had up to 60. You just think about our ability to network and the efficiency of being able to spend 1 hour presenting to 60 practices if we were to do that in a more traditional way of face-to-face. Yep, we could do that in a wider form networking event or face-to-face and going around different practices. But we have this unbelievable opportunity where we've actually got, for the first time, an engaged audience who's prepared to sit down and give you their attention. And they hope in return for upskilling, providing design ideas, or giving greater level of certainty in the designs that they're doing. And hopefully some inspiration. So let's consider that this is it's a pretty unique opportunity. There's going to be hundreds of others doing it. So we need to get really good and focused on what we're delivering. We also want to walk away having developed an impression. I could really work with her. She seemed really approachable. Has got a good approach in terms of to design. I could see myself working with them. He's really knowledgeable. He's talked specifically about detail. He's not talking in generic terms. You know, I've seen a number of presentations where people go, well, here are some generic considerations, and if you've got any questions, feel free to give me a call. Well, you know, we're actually stretching a pretty long bow to, you know, to think that we're going to get people who we may not have met. Their first impression of us is, if we're sticking with generic information, to, you know, be able to pick up that phone. We know architects, you know, they're reasonably hesitant anyway. Typically when they're picking up the phone, it's because they've got a problem. They're not typically being proactive because there's so many design considerations, they just don't have the time. But we want to know that if they've got a particular issue, that we have delivered content that has given them a high level of confidence, they know they can come and talk to me. I will be available. I'm happy to support them in helping deliver effective design. Okay, so for the next 3 sessions, next week I'm going to talk about 5 webinar mistakes to avoid. Following that, I want to talk about what's life looking like under level 1 and overview of practices. But I want you to touch base and let me know what other content you would like me to address, because I'm happy to put together some other sessions like this if it's of value. I am going to put up an exit poll now, and I would like to get your feedback, what you enjoyed today, and if you want to touch base with me, it's matthew@eboss.co.nz. Most of you should know that, around what else we could focus on. You know, this session is exclusive to EBOSS clients, so I want to help differentiate you guys from your competitors in the market so that we can smash the next few months and beyond. The idea here is to give you as much market information as possible to navigate through, you know, the next 12 months. Make sure that what we're doing today is going to be successful in delivering project specifications and sales when they arrive, and that'll help us certainly in 2021. All right, thanks for your attendance, team. Hope you enjoyed that. Look forward to seeing your poll results. Any further comments, feel free to contact me offline.